I'm literally so excited for today's video. Not only are we putting together our TBR, which is like one of my favorite things to do, but also I got you guys involved and I'm literally so excited. Basically, I got the idea for this video from Sarah Caroli. She's done this video a few times where she posts on her Instagram stories and kind of like has her followers like blindly choose her books. Like she'll put a couple of different options with some emojis and you kind of have to like guess what the book is depending on the emojis, or just like pick the one that has the emojis that you like the most of, I guess. Either way, she's done it a few different times. It always looks so fun and I've been wanting to do it myself for a while now. And we're finally doing it. Today is Monday and I did put the stories up on Saturday, I think. And I looked at them early on, like a couple different times, but I have no idea what the actual end results are for them. And I'm very curious to see what you guys have picked because I do feel like I did a pretty good job at picking the emojis for the books. I feel like there's definitely a few where it like totally gives away the book in my opinion, but then there is definitely a couple, one specifically that I'm thinking of that like even I look at it and I'm like, what book were you going for there? The majority of the books that I did have you guys pick from were from my most recent book haul. So if you missed that book haul, definitely check it out. I got a lot of new releases. So I think May is going to be literally like the best TBR reading month ever. So here is our first pairing, and this is one of the ones where one of them I feel like is not very obvious and the other one is like super obvious. So the first one that we have has a trident, a fish, and a shell as the little emojis. I did 3 emojis for each one. And then the other one has like a little circus tent, a star, and a ticket. So I feel like that's the one that's like super obvious. And the actual books for this one is Sunbringer by Hannah Kaner, and then we have Caraval by Steffi Garber. In general, I tried to pair books together that kind of like made sense together. These ones, not so much. They have totally different vibes, totally different like everything. But this has been on my TBR for a really long time, so I want to get to it at some point. And then this one is actually a new release. It's a second book in a series. So this one could be like a pairing of like series that I want to like finish / like get into. But honestly, they were just like the last 2 and I really wanted to read them, so I put them together. Anyway, let's go ahead and see what the actual results for these books are. I feel like because Caraval is like so obvious that that's the one that's going to be picked, and we're correct. Caraval did win this one by 56% versus 44%. So our first book on our May TBR is going to be Caraval. I'm actually really excited about this. Like I'm really excited to get into this book as well. But this one's been on my TBR for a long time, like I said, and I really just want to get to it. I feel like everyone knows what this is at this point, but really quickly, it's basically about a girl, or like sisters, one of which has wanted to go to this specific like magical carnival, and she finally gets a ticket, and her sister gets like kidnapped as part of the game within the circus or something like that. And it sounds really interesting. I don't really have anywhere to showcase the books, so I'll just put it off to the side for now and show you again at the end. Next up, we have another one that has kind of like a more obvious one in my opinion, and then one that is not as obvious. The first book is a flower / a daisy, a little anchor, and then like the Italian flag. And then the second one is a lot more ambiguous. This one is a sun, a heart with little sparkles on it, and then a wave. And I'm gonna go ahead and just show you the books because I need to explain. The first one, and the one that I think is a little bit more obvious, is Daisy Hates, which is the second book in the Magnolia Parks universe. And I read Magnolia Parks like earlier on last year and I really did enjoy it. And I feel like that book kind of left off on like a little bit of a cliffhanger, if I remember correctly. At least it like made me really want to continue Magnolia's story, but because the next book in the series is about Daisy, I never really picked up the next one. I feel like if the next book had been Magnolia, I would have picked it up a long time ago, like right after I read the first one. But because it's about a whole new character and I'd have to learn about a whole new set of people kind of, I just haven't picked it up. But I do really want to continue on the series, especially because recently more so I've heard a lot of people talk about, you know, either being Magnolia girls or Daisy girls, and I'm very curious to see like what side of the spectrum I'm on. However, the other book that I have, I'm also very excited for, and it is a new release. This is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. The way that she adds kind of like real life into her like fluffy romance stories is just so good. It makes you like feel the book more, and I'm just so excited for this one. This one has a really fun concept of kind of like 2 people who have this like curse where whenever they're dating someone, once they break up, the person that they were dating finds like the one, and they're kind of like perpetually not the one, but they end up like coming across each other, I guess, on Reddit, and they come up with this plan where they're gonna date each other, and then when they break up, their curses will kind of be broken, and then they'll find their one true loves finally. So it just sounds like a really fun concept. With that, let's go ahead and see the results. I feel like because the Daisy Hates emojis to me seemed more obvious, and a lot of people really love the Magnolia Parks series, I feel like that one's gonna win. Oh, it did not win at all. just for the summer actually won by 61%. I do feel like the emojis that I did for this one were very vague, so I'm very curious. If you voted on this, like, did you know what book this was, or did you just like the emojis? Let me know in the comments down below. Also too, just let me know in general if you guessed any of these books. I'm very curious about how well I did with the emojis. The next set of books that I have, I'm actually very excited for. I think this is the one that I'm like the most excited for, and I really want to read like every single one of these books. I feel like I cannot stop talking about how much I love Elsie Silver and Chestnut Springs. That series really opened my eyes to the world of like cowboy slash like small town romances. Like, they are my favorite types of romances now. They're just so wholesome and sweet, and also when they're like spicy, it just kind of like, it just hits different and it's so good. So I basically created an entire category of just cowboy slash small town romances, and 2 out of the 3 of these books is Elsie Silver. The first little set of emojis that we have is a horse, a little like blue heart, and then a like car racing flag, and that one is for Off to the Races by Elsie Silver. I feel like the emojis for this one was maybe a little ambiguous just because there wasn't much to work with. There's literally just a horse on here and the title, so that's where the horse came from. The blue heart is literally just because the cover is blue, and then the little flag because it says Off to the Races. So I don't know if anyone knew what this one was. And then the next one that we have is another one that I was really not sure if anyone was going to know what I was talking about, because again, I pulled directly from the covers and there was not a lot of emojis to help me out with this cover. But the second one is a little heart with kind of like a sunset, which was supposed to be kind of like mountains, and then a key. And that one is for Wild Love, also by Elsie Silver. And then this next one is another one that, like, I don't know if anyone knew what the F I was talking about, but I put a little cowboy with some hearts and some clouds for Done and Dusted, because again, there wasn't really much to work with. There's a cowboy hat, they're kissing, so the hearts, and then the clouds. The clouds really was just like a, I don't know what to put for here, so that's what we did. So let's go ahead and see which one won. So kind of surprisingly, but not surprisingly, Wild Love has won. I feel like if everyone knew what the books were, this one definitely would have won. But because it is depending on the emojis, I'm a little surprised because I would never have guessed. Like, I did the emojis for this one and I never would have guessed that that's what this one was. So either way though, I'm very excited that this one won, especially because as far as it goes with like the Elsie Silver books, I was kind of already thinking that I wanted to read this one first before I got into this series, because a lot of times when I read a book that belongs to a series and there isn't the next book available, I get really sad and kind of go into a reading slump sometimes because I literally don't want to read anything else but more of that series, and obviously I can't. So to kind of avoid that, I was thinking if I read this one first, I would still have this entire series by Elsie Silver to kind of read in lieu of the next book of this one. Will I still be upset and have all those feelings that I'm trying to avoid when I'm done finishing this entire series? Probably, but at least that way in my head I feel like it seems like it won't be so bad. Next up, second to last category that we have is actually a Lynn Painter standoff. I did just purchase the 2 most recent Lynn Painter releases. One is a young adult and then the other one is an adult. Basically we have Betting on You and then we have Happily Never After. And this one in particular, I feel like I did a pretty good job at picking the emojis for. So it has a bride, a little broken heart, and then like a hand saying like stop. And I picked those because this one is about a woman who is about to get married, but she doesn't want to get married. So she hires a guy to attend her wedding and object when it's time to object, so she doesn't have to get married. This one, however, I feel like is a little bit more ambiguous. I did a little like bucket of popcorn. They're both holding little buckets of popcorn up here. And then I did the little hearts because there's like pink on the cover and it's a romance. And then I did crossing your fingers because that was my only thing that I could like maybe cue as like a bet, like, oh, I hope I win kind of a thing. Anyway, let's go ahead and see what the results were for these 2 books. I'm so curious. This is another category where I'm probably gonna read both of them anyway because Lynn Painter books are so like quick and easy and just like fun to read. So again, I'll probably read both of them, but I am kind of hoping that this one wins. But let's see. No. Betting on You won by 60%, which is again another pretty big gap between the 2 books. Now, last but not least, we have this poll. And this one is one that are just basically 2 new releases kind of going head to head. There was no really correlation between the 2. They're just both new. So for the first one, we have kind of like an emoji of someone writing with a little blood drop and then some snow. And that one is going to be for A Fate Inked in Blood. So I did the blood and the writing for like the Fate Inked in Blood. And then I did the snowflake really for no other reason other than this just gives me winter vibes. Like I had no idea what other emoji to do. So I did a snowflake. And then the last one that I did, I do feel like is pretty obvious. We have a scorpion, a black heart, and then a crown. And that one is for Leigh Bardugo's The Familiar, which is again her newest release. It literally just came out this month. So let's go ahead and find the results. Okay, so we have a 50-50 split on these two books. I'm just gonna go into my actual Instagram post and see if I can see like the exact amount of votes per book. And maybe it's like slightly off because sometimes they just kind of like, you know, it'll say 50-50, but there's like one more in the other one. Well, that's actually no help whatsoever because the votes themselves are also equal. So how am I gonna do this? So I can either add both of them to my TBR or I can just kind of like pick which one I'd prefer to read right now. I can't decide, so we're just gonna put them both on the TBR. So with that, this is our TBR that you guys have picked for me. May is gonna literally be the best reading month ever. Really quickly, we have Caraval, Just for the Summer, Wild Love, Betting on You, The Familiar, and A Fate Inked in Blood. Also a few more books that I definitely will be reading in May is the last 4 books in the Throne of Glass series because I did start that. I'm splitting the whole series into 2 different videos, and the first half of the books I've already finished filming and reading those ones. I just have to edit the video, so that'll be coming out soon. But as for the rest of the books, I just started Queen of Shadows last night, and I literally cannot put this series down. Like, it is so freaking good. If you have not read Throne of Glass, you need to read it. I'm not even finished with it yet, and I'm telling you, you gotta read it. So those are all of the books that I will be reading in May. We have quite the hefty but very exciting TBR, and thank you guys so much for helping me out. Again, I've been wanting to do this for a while, but I wasn't sure if people were really gonna vote, but I got quite a lot more votes than I thought I was going to. So I just appreciate you guys so much. I love you, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.